But I find, and I've been doing this a long time now, probably working with people probably 12 years now, traveled around the world, working with people, coached thousands and thousands of people online and virtually. And the biggest, most dramatic shifts happen typically with people that have tried every type of diet and it's not working. Nothing seems to work. And then they have this huge emotional shift. And then they go on to lose incredible amounts of weight. I just got an email from a guy who I was in contact with in 2011 who lost over 400 pounds. And that was back then, and he's still going strong. And I just reached out to say, hi. You don't get those huge shifts without doing the inside-out work. And I just want to take a quick moment to describe why that is. And that is that there's something that I call in my book, and I experienced, I call it emotional obesity. And emotional obesity is different than emotional eating, right? Emotional eating, we all know what emotional eating is. You know, you're just eating for some emotional gratification. Emotional obesity is the need to be fat, to be overweight, is a need in order to feel safe emotionally. And that's very, very different. Because remember before, what I said was, fat is always about security. And the integration between your mind and your emotions and your body is not a smooth integration. Your body doesn't understand your emotions. It doesn't understand your mind. We're worried about something that's going to happen 6 months down the road. Our body thinks of a famine that's happening right now, or a tiger's chasing us, or something like that. But if we feel safe emotionally, with extra weight, that weight's going to stay until we do the work to feel safe in our bodies without it. And then the weight just melts off. And I experienced this. I work with men and women of all ages that have experienced this. When I was a kid, and it usually comes from some sort of trauma. When I was a kid, I was beaten up and abused very badly on a regular basis. And when I was working on Wall Street, I had a business partner who was very aggressive, very angry, and he reminded me of the kids that used to beat me up. And so I always felt unsafe in that. And I started gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. Eventually, I was twice his size. And guess what? I wasn't afraid of it. I could sit on it. I could squish him like a pancake. I wasn't afraid. The weight was serving a purpose. And that has to be addressed. Because if you start to lose weight, and many of you may have experienced this for all kinds of different reasons, but you may have experienced this, where you go on a diet and you're doing great, and you lose 5 or 10 pounds, and someone says, oh my God, you look amazing. And what happens? You have this binge. You know, and you go, I don't know why, I'm self-sabotaging, I'm so, you know, you say you're so mad at yourself. But the reality is, it's actually about protecting you because there's something there. I remember talking to a lady just the other day where she was in a store. She was in a store and she was with her sister, and some guy walked in, and the guy was checking her sister out, and she thought to herself, he's not going to bother me, I'm safe. I've got an extra 40 pounds on me. He's not going to, I'm safe. She actually had that thought, I'm safe. You have to address that. If you don't, your body will act against you. You can't fight your body 24/7. You can go on a diet and force your body to eat less, but your body can fight back 24/7. You can't control how hungry you are. Am I right? You can't control the types of foods you're craving. Your body can control that, and it can control that 24/7. So going to war with your body doesn't work. You have to do the inside work. So that's why we do so much inside work. And over the next couple of days, for the most part, we're going to have some really, really powerful therapies and experiences to do the emotional work. And one of the therapies we use is something called cellular release therapy. And in our coaching programs, we've had thousands of people go through this process with trained cellular release therapists. performance here today, and I want to just introduce you, but before I do, I want to talk about how incredibly special this person is. So, Melinda Jacobs, who I introduced to, was at a movie in December, in 2012 in Aurora, Colorado. She went to see the midnight showing of Batman Returns. She got special tickets, and she was really excited. She went with her friends and couldn't wait to go. She walks in and she says, "Something's wrong, we gotta get out of here." And her friend says, "Are you crazy? We just got these tickets. I'm not getting out of here. We're getting out of here right now." Well, everybody sat down in the theater, and a couple of minutes later, the gunman opened up and killed, or at least injured, on the stats, something like 70 people. That was the Aurora, Colorado shooting. She was there, like everybody else. But for some reason she left. Why did she leave? Why did she have, well, what made her leave? She has developed her intuition to the point where it keeps her safe. And if you think about it, nothing can keep you as safe as your intuition, if you have a powerful intuition that you can hear and communicate with. And so if you can develop your intuition to that level, it's another way of feeling safe. And when you're feeling safe, you don't need the weight because you're not worried about somebody that could come up to you on the street. You don't have to worry about that. Your intuition is going to say, don't go there. And then you feel safer, and then you let go of the weight. And she's helped so many people, Gabriel Medley students, lose incredible amounts of weight through her processes. And she's going to talk a little bit about those processes today, so welcome, Melinda Jacobs. By the way, just for the record, Melinda is not going to strip on stage this year. She's done many other years. I'll let her explain that. But we're not just for that, it's to figure this out.
How to do it, didn't you? Hi, everybody. Hi. Take a deep breath. Let it go. Just come back into this moment. So this entire week, you're going to hear story after story that's going to light you up, going to trigger you, and that's okay. It's good. We carry wounds that are here to be healed, here to be triggered. And I'm here to talk about, yet again, a journey. What I love about working with this team is every single year that we gather, with no conversation, with no getting together, we all have the same theme. Always. It's never been unlike that. And so you're going to hear about a lot of journeying this week. Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing yours. There's a lot of powerful people in this room. Every one of you are them. And I want to invite you to turn to someone and say, thank you for being courageous and getting here.
Thank you for being courageous.
Fist bumps,
Saving the end.
high fives. I'm going to turn the energy up a little bit.
And being a cool, fun guy.
I want to thank every one of you for being here, for the courage it took you to get here. Because I know your journeys are hard. And I don't care what the outer shell looks like. My outer shell has already been commented on a number of times. Oh, I just wish I looked like that. Thank you. And I share some similar things with you. For those of you who don't know, I've been hospitalized with an eating disorder when I was 20 years old. I was binging and purging 6 times a day, eating boxes of laxatives, drinking Epicac to throw up, which is what killed Karen Carpenter. I too drown in self-hatred. I too struggle with my relationship with my body, with my food. I don't see an ideal body. I don't see that. What I see when I see every one of you is I see a light shining through you. I see your essence. And that's what I love about being empathic is I can feel the truth of who you are beyond your body temple. I can feel that light moving through you, and I can connect with it because I know I'm of the same light. So when you see people up on stage this week, just remember, you are that light. We're just showing you what's possible. And there's nothing that's not standing up here on the stage that you can't achieve as well. Nothing. I love studying and hearing about great spiritual teachers because when I hear about what they've done, I remind myself, they're just reminding me what I can do. They're just showing me my own potential. So I'm here to just show you a little bit of your own potential. So in case you didn't know, you're on a journey. Whether you chose it or not, it may have chosen you. I do believe that happens from time to time. And I know these journeys are sacred, and I know there is no journey that's going to look like another's. There's some things that are common, the ups, the downs, the successes, the failures. There's some ways that we can prepare for a successful journey. I live in Colorado, and wow, we're a very outdoorsy group, and there's outfitters everywhere. And these are just some of my favorites. I put together this slide with some of my favorite brands and some of my, actually the stove in the middle that's my stove. So we go to outfitters to prepare us for a trek, to prepare us for a journey, to make sure that we have the right gear, to make sure that we have the right maps so we don't get lost along the way, to make sure that we know what to do and what not to do. A few years ago, I took this amazing snowshoeing trek up in Idaho Springs in Colorado. And I love going with guides because they know shit. So, they're really smart. And they know the terrain, and they know how to get from point A to point B successfully and in one piece, intact. And the one that I remember the most was how to predict an avalanche with your snow pole. Love that little bit of information. That was very handy. And in case some of you missed the news, we were having avalanche slides all over Colorado last year. It was really dangerous to go out into nature sometimes. We should walk outside and be humbled by the power of Mother Nature, just shrugging a little bit, creating hurricanes and tsunamis and avalanches. It's just her shrugging a little bit. We should be humbled by the power of what it means to go out into the world. And what I want to invite you to consider is that we should be humbled by the power of going in. This is the journey you're on. You're going in. Whether you know it or not, you're on a path to meet yourself in all your amazing, powerful, wonderful, and broken ways. I don't think we're actually truly broken. I think that's a myth. But you're on a journey to meet yourself. And I'd love to be your healing outfitter. I'd love to prepare you for that journey and make sure you know what to expect, that you have the right gear and the right tools, that you actually successfully get there. So these are the few of the things that you need on that journey. Looks a little different than going out into the world. Coming in is a very different tool set. It's a very different set of gear. Patience, kindness, grace, understanding, forgiveness. Oh, an F word. My second year of speaking on this stage with John, he said, Melinda, if you could just leave out the F-bombs. I'm going to throw a few of them in today. Forgiveness is one of them. So when I think about going out in nature, out into the world, and journeying into myself, I want to understand, where the heck am I going? Where am I going? I remember 18 years ago, a gentleman that I was a little fond of that worked in my building came by and was like, hey, you want to go to Peru? And I'm like, sure, that sounds great. And I went home to look where Peru was, because I didn't know. I needed a map. And so we do have our own internal GPS for our healing journey. It's our intuition. And in order to get that intuition working so clearly that you could walk into a theater and go, I need to go, we need to go now. In order to get it to function that well, is not a matter of getting your intuition better. It's already functioning that well. Your intuition is already informing you. What we need to do is clear up the trauma. We need to get out of our way. We need to get all of that reactivity from the past resolved so that we can be here present in this moment. So that we can feel into the space as it is. I loved what Tiffany said, let go of hope, so that you can be present. If you did anything to develop your intuition, I would invite you to get present and listen. Heal the trauma, that helps. I have a similar story of Tiffany's this year. It seems to be the year of, all the coaches getting lit up. And I had a stalker situation. And I'm safe now, for the most part. But I did have to have a conversation with someone who helped me out of that situation, who said, okay, Melinda, is this person volatile? I'm like, oh yeah. And she said, does he know where you live? And I'm like, oh yeah. She goes, okay, so we need to talk about transitioning his care out of your practice and get him safe. And then we need to talk about your safety. We need to make sure that you have a plan. So that conversation involved go bags, safe houses, places to go, what I would do with my animals, and a possibility of a murder-suicide situation. That's life. And after that, if you could imagine, I got a little reactive, got a little scared, couldn't trust my intuition because I was anticipating seeing him around every corner. I was anticipating going to my glass doors on my patio and seeing him right there. My body was lit up. It was really reactive. And I did my work. And I got the help. And I was able to get centered again to where now I can be very present. And I can feel my environment again. And I can know I'm safe. So in that 1% chance that anything would happen to me, I know my intuition is going to inform me that something's amiss. Because I was in an environment when something wasn't coming directly to me or at me personally, it was happening in the space, and I felt that no problem. So of course I know that I'm safe. Have to get present, have to work on the trauma. In order for a GPS to really work effectively, we have to know what we want. Our lives are ours to direct. And a lot of us are just kind of meandering around, not really feeling inspired or pulled to any one particular thing. And it's this one question, what do I want, that really got me moving. And it was just last year that someone posed this question to me because I'm an empath, which means if I'm in your personal field, I'm probably feeling you more than I'm feeling me. And I'm probably going to think your desires and goals are mine because I wasn't being clear at the time. And I'm probably going to reorganize my life in such a way that's, yes, let's go do that. Oh, that's a wonderful idea. But I never asked, what do I want? And I started asking. And when I realized that what I wanted was nothing of what I did or was doing at the time. I didn't want to live in multiple places. I didn't want to be in California. I didn't want 2 big dogs. I didn't want that. Those weren't my wants. And so I had to sit with those questions. What do I want? What do I want? And I sat with them for months. what I really want is to feel so connected with my sense of self and source that in the presence of just having a conversation at a grocery store, someone's life transforms because of the light and the energy and the connection I'm holding. That's what I want. This is a powerful way to get your GPS directing your life. Otherwise, just meander. And please be patient with yourself. If you don't know what you want yet, that's okay. Just sit with the question. Because when you sit with the question, it's a vibration thing. What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I'm aligning to my desire. But if all we do is sit and complain, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I have to clean up this mess, and oh my God, and that, and I don't like this, all we're doing is aligning vibrationally with the problem. We'll never get out of the problem if we don't align with something higher. So even if you don't know what you want, just by asking the question, it changes your vibration and it gets you there. When you begin to sense, what do I want? Then you can begin to ask for support of the universe. And I love this question and I've used it so much. Careful, this one's powerful. Universe, please show me the next step in a way I clearly understand. And give me the willingness and the courage to follow it. I'd asked that question about how do I bring my practice to the next level, and guess what I got? I got a stalker. Because from that experience, I up-leveled everything. I now have a whole new level of talking to people and holding boundaries for myself. I have a whole new level of what I know I'm willing to work with and what I'm not. I have a whole new, clearly defined definition of my ideal client. I'm grateful that that experience happened. It was horrible and scary. And it's not over because he still knows where I live. And that's okay, because my intuition is clear, because I can feel myself guided into vibrations of higher than this low-level experience. I needed that to get here, and I am grateful for it. And I know some of you have experiences in your past that you're not on that level of relationship with yet. Maybe until today. Maybe today is the day you start changing that relationship with the people in your lives, with the experiences that have occurred in your life. And you can begin to consider, just consider, it benefited you in some way. If only to show you how courageous you are, if only to show you how strong you are. And maybe something better. Powerful question. So I want to talk about the journey and me in Peru and going completely unprepared because I've never been to REI. I've never gotten hiking boots and I've never climbed a 14er. And this person says, hey, you want to go to Peru? And I said, yes. So we're on the trek to the first 14er. I've never climbed a 14er in my life. Arrogant, I live in Colorado, Mile High City. Oh, I live at 5,000 feet, 14,000 is no big deal. Yes, it is. It's a really, really big deal. And there's no air up there. some hikers passed me and they looked at me and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And they could tell I wasn't all there, and they said, "Do you have any water?" I'm like, "No, it's with my friend." They said, "Do you have any food?" I'm like, "No, it's with my friend." Not so much a friend. I didn't know any better. I really didn't. And so you're going to learn a lot about what to feed your body this week. You're going to have amazing food prepared for you all week long. But I want to talk about what are you feeding your mind. What are you telling yourself on a consistent daily basis? And most of this stuff is unconscious. You don't even realize you're telling yourself. You're just aware of the general feeling of, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't know if I should get out of bed. What's the point? But we are constantly talking to ourselves. When I was on the side of the mountain of Peru, and there was this 1,000-foot drop-off, and I'm terrified, and again, suddenly I'm alone, and I'm just frozen on the feet in front of me. If they're not dying, I'm not dying. If they're not falling, I'm not falling. If they can do it, I can do it. So I had to be my own cheerleader. I had to be that. And there is no one else in your head but you. No one. You might be running some old tapes of what you've heard in the past. That's true. It might not even be in your own voice. But you are the one, and the only one, that has control of the thinking. And what we think is what we're creating into this amazing life. So what are you feeding your mind? I want to challenge you this week to take 100% responsibility for what you're telling yourself. Commit to that. And if for now you can commit to 5%, that's awesome, because every journey starts with a step. If you can commit to 50% of the time, I'm going to really watch my thoughts. Fantastic. But I'm really going to challenge you 100%. Be responsible for what you're telling yourself. I had just the most beloved friend die this year. We'd known each other for 30 years, and he didn't ask permission, and I'm still pissed off about it. He just up and left. And I could just feel my heart break. I was just leveled. And I had this thought in my head that says, I'll never be loved like that again. And immediately my thoughts auto-corrected and said, that's not true. I've gotten to a point where I have auto-correct thinking. That's like, yeah, fine. Because I've spent years telling myself the same old story. Melinda, you're fat. Melinda, you're ugly. Melinda, you're stupid. Melinda, you're not good enough. Melinda, no one likes you. And I started just tacking on a statement, because that's just the autoplay. And I just start to say, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. And if any of you talk to me this week, you might hear me say that. I don't know that that's true. And it's okay to just question ourselves. And I think at this point we should question everything if we're not consciously thinking. Until you are consciously choosing your thoughts, I invite you to consider all of it's not true. And when I think about the food and what I'm feeding myself and feeding my body, I think about the company I'm keeping. Are they lifting me up and nourishing my soul, and are they championing me? Or are they kind of the negative Nellies and the ones that, just want the shit to go down and don't want to see you succeed? And sadly, we have a lot of that in our lives. I know from hundreds, thousands of people that I've worked with over the years, that one of the big stopping blocks is family and relationships. Because the person I'm working with is the only one willing and strong enough to make a change. And the spouse or the family want them to stay in that old that, because if one component changes, everything else is forced to change. That's a lot of pressure, and it's something to just be very aware of. And again, one of the things I want to invite you to invest in is compassion. Be compassionate for yourself if you're in one of those situations that has a challenging dynamic, that you feel you have to choose. You don't have to leave any relationship until you're ready. And if you're ambivalent, you're not ready. And that's okay. It's part of the journey, step by step. So there's this phrase, flames burn down together, and I refuse to ignite. So just notice your table conversations. Notice if there's complaining, and notice if you're going to go down with the ship, or if you're willing to just stand in your truth and say, that's not true for me. Or that just wasn't my experience. Or, you know, I saw it a totally different way. And whether you say it out loud or to yourself doesn't matter. The fact is that you're not willing to let everyone else around you change where you're at. So I saw this quote this morning, I'm like, oh, perfect. When setting out on a journey, do not seek advice from those who have never left home. That's why John Gabriel, that's why Heather, that's why Lisa, that's why Tiffany, is because they left home. They figured it out. They went out into the wilderness, they got geared up, and they went in, and they met themselves. Careful who you're taking advice from. So I want to talk briefly about support. You're not supposed to do this alone. And really question, who can you lean on? For a while, I didn't feel like I knew who my support team was, and so I just started thinking about that. Who is my support? And who do I lean into? Well, certainly it's not my family. I mean, wow, no. Yeah, flames burn down together, for sure. And even some of my friends at the time were not that cheerleader uplifting. And so believe it or not, a huge part of my support team is here in this room. Thank you, every one of you. Because I always feel inspired when I talk to them, because I always feel motivated, even if they're in the depths of their struggle, because of the perspective they're holding is what's inspirational to me. Tiffany to go through what she went through and to hold that sense of this is not happening to me. There's something here for me. And to move through it with grace and to be able to reach out to support. When I had my little incident with the soccer, I reached out immediately to 3 different therapists because I knew that was the level of help I needed. I was glitchy and twitching all over the place. So I was doing EMDR, I was doing cellular release, I was doing talk therapy, because that's what I needed. I needed that support. And again, if you don't feel like you have support in your life right now, sit with the question, who do I trust? Who do I feel supported by? Who do I feel inspired by? And align vibrationally with the answer, not the problem. No one's here. I'm all alone. I don't get the help I need. All of that. Who are your heroes? Albert Einstein's my hero. John Gabriel's my hero. Tiffany, Lisa, Heather, you guys are my heroes. I'm going to play you a song from one of my other heroes. His name's Justin. He has this amazing band called Blue October, and why he's my hero. Oh, Robert Downey Jr. is also a hero. Oh, bud, did you guys see that? All right. So Blue October's music follows this horrific, disastrous descent into addiction and this amazing rise out of it. Anyone who's made it out and lived to tell the tale, they're my heroes. And even if they're in the depths of the dysfunction, in the depths of the addiction, still my hero if they're holding that space of, I'm getting out. Today's a little hard, and every day I'm just taking one step and I'm getting out. Every day. My heroes. So define your heroes. Who are they? And you are absolutely not supposed to do this alone. I know for myself, I had this wild idea that I had to be tough and brave, and I just couldn't show anybody my weakness, and I couldn't show that vulnerability. And what it did is it landed me in the hospital for a week with 105 fever and a bilateral kidney infection of E. coli. Because I thought I had to be alone. I almost died. So I know some of you are in that place, not of the almost dying, but in that place of sense of, I don't want to show anybody my weakness. I don't want anybody to see me this way. And I just implore you and beg you, don't challenge your body to take you to the point of having to ask for you. It's a much easier journey if you ask for yourself, rather than having your body do it for you. That was rough. There's my cat. So this is Mateo. He's a Bengal. He's a wild cat, literally. He's a genetically hybrid wild animal. And what I love about this picture, I was having this conversation on the way up, is that the question was, is your cat going to be in the presentation? I'm like, oh, I haven't considered that. And just like a cat, they just show up and they're like, ta-da! And then they leave. And I'm like, yeah, right, my cat should be here because guess what? Life is unpredictable. Much like cats. And life happens. And I'm not saying horrible things like gross violation and life-threatening situations are going to happen to you, but life happens. And how we roll with it and what we do and the tools that we've gathered for our journey is what gets us through the moments. We're all having a life. I haven't met one person yet that doesn't have that deep wound. We're all having it. And it's nice to have a plan, but it's nice to not be attached to it. And I see this a lot with the weight loss, is that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to eat this, and then I'm going to have this body, and it's all going to be grand. And that's wonderful to have a plan. But if any one of those components don't work, then there's this devastating, I'm a failure. So I'm going to invite you to do small steps. Small. What do I want? Even if it's just food, spend 2 minutes before you go into the cafeteria. What do I want? What does my body need? How can I best serve my body temple and align to that level of health? I think it's much better to be responsive. And that's really about being in the moment and knowing the toolkit that I have and knowing that I'm geared up and knowing that I understand the terrain. I'd much rather respond in the moment than doing all of this crazy controlling, trying to, hold the event and control everything in a particular way of what's not happening right now because it's going to happen in the future. I did get a little nutty with my stalker, kind of blackout blinds, and I was trying to control all the light from coming in. I'm like, there's too much light in my house. All the while in my head, I was laughing at myself, and I said to myself, Melinda, you know it's not about light, right? That's really fun. I'm safe, really. It's all right. It's okay to laugh. So I want to talk about first aid. If I'm out on the trail, if I'm going in, I want to have really good first aid. And there's this idea of Woundology 101. I have talked about this repeatedly on my Ask Melindas for the Gala method. That there is this idea that the physical body heals in a particular way. If we get a wound and there's some debris in it and the body tries to put a scout over it and gets all infected and gross and it's irritating and then it's pussy and oozy, we need to open the wound and get the stuff out, right? Right? Everybody not knowingly. Our emotional body heals the same way. Oops. For years, I was 20 years in a massage practice. I was an instructor at massage school, and they gave me all of the end of the year curriculum programs, all the technical stuff, because that's what I loved. And one of the classes I taught was Russian sports massage, and the Russians figured out how to reproduce physiological effects with particular speeds, length, and pressure of strokes. And they actually figured out how to build muscle without working out. Pretty awesome. And one of the things that one of the strokes is just a simple movement back and forth. It's called friction. It's designed to create heat. It's a light touch, and the strokes per second are about 2 to 3 strokes per second, and the length of the stroke is 2 to 3 inches. I mean, that's how specific they are. And the idea is that it breaks down the cartilage. What I find fascinating, not the cartilage, the
Scar tissue.
scar tissue, thank you. It's been a while since I've been in that realm. I've kind of lost the language. What I find interesting about that is this idea when we look at our emotional wounds, it's like, oh, I don't want to touch that. Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to remember why bother. It was 50 years ago. Oh, it happened so long ago. I just need to move on. But if it's creating an internal irritation for you, it's not done yet. And you need to go rub it and touch it and connect with it to help get that energy out. And there's going to be a number of things that we do this week that will help with that process. The F word, forgiveness. I want to give you a little forgiveness practice. I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes. And I'll leave this slide up for you afterwards. So you can write these down or take pictures, but please just put everything on the floor, everything out of your lap. This is one of the most powerful things I've done in the last 6 months, especially with the recent situation that I experienced, is to just begin to practice forgiveness. And what I want to walk you through is forgiving yourself for how you've treated your body, because I know there's not one person in here that hasn't in some way berated, neglected, hated on, dismissed, or shamed your body in some way. I know we all have that in common. Yeah? So let's just close our eyes. Just take a few deep breaths. If we can play the meditation music, that'd be awesome, just not so loud. If that's available, if not, don't worry about it. Life is unpredictable. You didn't know I was going to do that. So feel your breath. Feel how your body is supported in this chair right here, right now. This is how the universe rises up to support you at all times and always. This is consistent, constant, it is always there, it never ever stops. The universe is in a constant flow of supporting you, just like this chair. Just thinking back over actions of the past, things that you've done, and later learned new information. And recognizing how naive you might have been, how ignorant you might have been, just uneducated. No one told you, no one taught you. How were you supposed to know? Thank you. And I invite you to say out loud, I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. And if you place your hand on your heart, one more time, to your body, for all the things that you've done to it, that you didn't know any better, I forgive myself for not knowing better at the time. Next one is I forgive myself for past behaviors. Whether it's binging, purging, starving, dieting, whatever it was, whatever the abuse was, whatever the neglect was, whatever the ignorance was, I forgive myself for past behaviors. The next one is I forgive myself for giving away my power. For all the times we gave away our power to the scale, to the number, to the person who said, oh, you should lose some weight, to the family member that was cruel, for not holding boundaries for our body, for not protecting our body, for expecting someone else to take care of our body, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually. I forgive myself for giving away my power. So I'm going to give this one in a few, I'm going to say it in some shorter statements so that you can get the whole thing, because this one's a little long. I forgive myself for the survival patterns and traits that I picked up while enduring trauma, abuse, and neglect. Most of what we experienced happened in childhood. Most of it was really out of our control. Most of it was crazy, crazy making. We as children didn't have words, language, or understanding for what was happening, and we did our best. We found ways to find comfort, to find safety. We found ways to hide through food. Through making our bodies larger, through making our bodies smaller, for making our bodies sick. We found ways. And I love to emphasize that I picked up, because that reminds me that I can put it down. So one more time. The survival patterns and traits that I picked up I'll repeat that because we missed a part. I forgive myself for the survival patterns and traits that I picked up. While enduring trauma, abuse, and neglect. Take a deep breath in. Let these words fall into you, into those scars, into those wounds like a healing elixir. Let them wash over those wounded places that maybe you haven't looked at, that maybe you've shut the door on. And the last one, I forgive myself for being who I need to be. This one creates confusion, but I love this one the most. Because sometimes I need to be that person that binges and purges and uses food for emotional comfort and who gets scared. And sometimes I need to be the person that steps out of my family patterns and holds a boundary for once. And sometimes I need to be that person that says no. Or I'm uncomfortable with that. Or I don't want to do that anymore. So one more time, I forgive myself for being the person you need to be. You may open your eyes. Good job. So I'll put this slide up when we leave, but I want to move on and I want to wrap it up because I have this amazing song. I'm going to invite you, if it's comfortable, to stand up and move. I like in a journey, I like